today I wanted to cover some of the things that we have just released, and let me also start it here on LinkedIn. Just a sec. Yes, let me just mute it here, and here it should also be okay. Good. Let's start. Cool. Hey, and thanks for joining. I really appreciating you taking the time here to join and hear about some of the things we have added to make it easier for you to manage your SAP migration. So yeah, if you are joining live here, then please, yeah, add some comments, add some likes about this. So today I wanted to just go through what we have added as a part of the Figaf tool 24.9. And before I get too much into detail, so obviously there's a lot of these components that probably requires you know a little about the Figaf tool, but also a lot of things is about, okay, so what is it actually we can do with it that makes your life easier with Integration Suite. So yeah, if you have questions, something that is unclear, just add it into the comments. I'll try to reply to these things. Good. So our main goal is to create tools that make it easier for you to manage your integration, and that is kind of our main objective. So one of the things we have added here is this this fingerprinting option, and well, the idea is that you can have iflows with the same version number, because a developer have been moving to 24 have been moving to this and then rollbacks, then make a change, and that's something that just makes it really difficult to actually understand what is the version you have and is it the same you have in production. So one of the things we added was that we calculated a fingerprint on this. So if you go here to the tool, so this is just the latest release we have. In the pre-release here we can see we have some items here in our landscape. Here we can see that this, at least let's select some here. We can see that this demo script here has a different version than, oh, it's a different version that deployed. Let's that's also useful information, but it was this thing that we wanted to cover, said that these two script collections or iflow script was not the same. If they are, and if you have these kind of problems, we can obviously use our BPMN viewer to see what is actually the problem between these things. But there can also be that it is just smaller differences compared with yeah, so it is just using some different script collections, which obviously is a problem and something that you need to be wary about. So there's obviously something that a lot of the items with the same script collection could have a challenge, but I guess it is better to mention too many differences than too few, and here's definitely something about something that has been rewritten. So that's one of the features, just making governance easier. The other thing we wanted to do was improve the transport experience, because whenever you are transporting an iflow, so if we just take this iflow, we want to transport it into to CPI, we can, or into our QA, a productive system, we can go in here and we can run the design guidelines, we can execute the check, and let's see here, there is 6 design guidelines that fails. There is something, avoid using non-regular roles. We can say, okay, we want to skip this because I said so. And then we say, hey, this does not really matter when we are deploying this. So I guess if we design it again, that's still deploying it, but you have here, you can go in here and you can see which steps is actually adding this this challenge. when you're transporting, it would be really nice to actually have this information. So when we are going in the Figaf tool, we can assign a ticket, test with assign guidelines. And here we will then select our landscape here. We can create a ticket, license for it. And that's also one of the small improvements. Before you needed to select a specific package, now you can just get all of it in one go. So if we select here start transport and open it, we can now see that we have added the package because we found that that's missing on the target system. We also have this new button here, design guidelines. We can see the different ones, and we can see the one that I said where I could skip. So the idea is here you obviously need to go through all of these and figure out, so what is actually going on. Are there some of these that have some potential problems that you do not want to move along? So it's just one new option that gives you more capabilities when transporting integrations. One of the other things we also do have as a part of this releases on the landscape level, I think maybe that's even a new one also in the release, is we have this option here where we can go in and say, hey, we should not be using default script names, we should not be using unsecure SFTP. So to create these tags, you just go in, update the landscape and say this is the rules that should be applied here. There is also a naming validation, and that means if you are then, you can create these tagging rules where you would say, hey, let's just see, look at these unsecure SFTP variable, where we just look if there is something that has a key that is called encryption and the value is FTP, then you know, yeah, it is unsecure, it's using some unsecure manner, and that means on this transport overview here in the Figaf tool, you would then see, hey, there's actually a problem with it. And then we also do have the last one we had was in here in the, this is just in a different one where we have connected it to a Git system. Here when we're looking at a transport, we do have a check here about what is coming from a Git pipeline. So you can add CPI lint, you can add static code analysis, a lot of these checks that just makes the governance easy. So as an approver, you have all of this information that just makes it so much easier for you to approve the transports. Okay, cool. So that's it on the design card. We have also, so one of the things that we often get when talking about migration is, how do I figure out which of my interfaces is related to BPMs, and then can I migrate? We have not added migration of these scenarios for a number of different reasons. It's a little complicated, and I don't really think we can add a lot of value. But when you are looking at the migration, it makes sense to understand if you have an ICO, is it related to a BPMN project? So what you will go is click here on the migrate, generate report. This will give you a full list of all the interfaces that you have in your landscape that has something to do with everything. So we do have both here our, let me just add, so we do have a lot of your systems that are related to each other. We have the method transport protocols. We have our sender tags where you can actually add your own rules to check, does this file contain some specific information? And then you'd actually be able to see it here. Let me just also just zoom in so you actually can see it on me. Here we have this new BPMN tag, so we can see that if we just look here, we can see these two BPM processes is actually a part of our landscape, and we need to figure out, okay, so we have these, how do we actually handle them in migration? And the same also for receiving side. Here we would also have similar tagging where we can see, so on this BPMN things, what are the objects we have here, and we can scroll down and dig deeper into this. So this is just something that just makes it easier for you to understand if you have some ICOs that are related in a BPMN process, what it is and how you can actually feel and do something in it. If you have questions, comments, just put it into the chat. I'll try to cover it also. Then we had some problems, or some people are complaining about the layout. So we added, improved our layout. So before we had these small irritating lines in between. Now we've straightened out the lines and given a better view of what is going on with these scenarios. So you don't need to format it. I think it's actually better than the one you get if you format the iflow, and especially if you have branching, etc. We hope this just makes it a little easier to use the standard flows without having to go around redesigning everything. Then we had, we found out that in a message mapping, some variables was not mapped correctly, and we needed to find a way to fix those. And I think we did get a pretty good solution on it. Maybe it's just a bug from old time. Where something has been added to the message function that did not work. So if you run into this, you would need to do some manual work to actually configure this variable, but now the mapping will be migrated successfully. The other thing was we found that when we are converting function libraries, we convert them into Groovy. In this Groovy, you would then be able to use our editor to run it and test with it. One of the things we found is that it is a keyword in Groovy, which means that if you have a variable, which is often the case in a function library, that you call it in parameter because you did not really want to specify too much what this was about, it is not applicable or will not work. So we made a workaround on that one. And then we had some problems with our Figaf editor to Groovy functions that did not cover all areas. Now it gives you some more details on these things. And then one of the parts, we do have our monitor here. And where is it? Here, message monitoring view. Here we can see all the messages that has been processed in your application. And one of the things we did find was if you were working with pipelines that we do a lot, we can migrate to it, then you would often find that it's a little difficult to actually be able to see. Let's just do it. We have a test case on the old version. So we do have some pipeline steps. Here should be testing results. So one of the things we found was in such a flow here, we had a lot of messages that were being grouped, but how do you actually figure it out? So we added just a link here that will simplify filtering this, but the thing is it's just adding it up here as a correlation ID filter, making it a little easier for you to monitor such processes. So that was just the last improvement in this release. You can find it soon in the previous, or the place where you find either the downloads or in our Docker Hub, making it much easier for you to get started running your migrations a little easier. So I hope you want to explore it. You can see more on Figaf. If you have questions, comments, just put them into the chat. Something that you're missing, something that makes your life a little easier in this perspective. So let me just see, is there any chats that I forgot? Sometime I'm not seeing it here. Let me just check. Reactions. Yeah, it's funny. You can you can see, sometimes you can see reactions, sometimes you're not. But anyway, yes, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Want to try it out, want to see how you can make your life easier working with SAP Cloud Integration. it's not the biggest things we have released, but I think in terms of usability, we've spent a lot of time making a lot of these small test cases easier, making it easier to create test cases, and a lot of things around it that's difficult to talk about because it's niche areas that you need to know quite a bit about, and preferably you would not figure these things out, like the license thing. That something that if you have used the tool a lot, like I have, it starts to get irritating. But this just simplifies this setup. So I really hope you enjoyed this. Please please share it, and obviously go to figaf.com and explore this the solution to see how it helps with your migrations and running Integration Suite better. Thanks.